number 11, rule for nouns that do not have singular forms. For example, the goods are being dispatched today by goods train. The goods here is referring to a canned goods like sardines and blah blah blah. This goods cannot be transformed in a singular form because this is the only form that the goods is. This one. When you refer it, when you transpose when you change it into a singular form, it will be a good. A good and goods doesn't have the same meaning. So the goods is still in a plural form. It doesn't have singular form, and it's a plural form, and it ends with an s. So the verb is in a plural form. Plural verb are. Next rule. Rule number 12. All, any, many. For example, some of the food is not good. All the typing has been finished. All the reports have been typed. Some, all doesn't usually affect the agreement between the verb and the subject. It's just the subject before the verb. Is used because the food is in a singular form. Is a subject and is in a singular form. So food is a singular, and so is the verb used. Same goes for the typing, because typing is not is a activity. So typing is a singular, and so is the verb. But in the third example, which is in a different case, reports is in a plural form. So in a plural form, it's a plural subject, and the corresponding verb is a plural verb. For example, next rule. Rule number 13, the titles of books or magazine. For example, the Hindustan Times still has wide circulation. The Shiva trilogy is a bestseller. Hindustan Times, it is referring to a book or magazine. Even though it ends with an s, it is still a subject, but it is always a singular verb is used when these magazines or books is the subject. And same goes for the second example. Rule number 14, the body, thing, one, singular words which always take singular verbs. For example, something is wrong with him these days. Everybody in the office has tickets. Everyone is required to clear their dues. Something, everybody, and everyone. These words always take singular verbs every time it is used, even though it represents as many or etc. etc. For next rule. Rule number 15, rules for relative pronoun. For example, the measles is among the diseases that are curable. The word diseases is the subject. It is a subject that corresponds to are. Diseases is the main. It is the subject, but not the main. So measles is the main, and diseases is a subject before the verb. So diseases ends with an s. Remember that when a subject ends with an s, it is usually a verb, a plural verb. So disease is a plural verb, and so is the disease is a plural subject. So it corresponds to a plural verb. Next rule. Rule number 16. When a group acts as a unit, the verb should be singular. For example, the committee has agreed to submit its report on Friday. The board of directors meets once in a month. The firm is one of the most reputed in the country. The majority has made its decision. The committee, board, firm, and majority is like a group of people but act as a unit. So when it is used and it acts as a unit, it always takes in the form of a singular. Has, meets, is, and has. Next rule. Rule number 17. When the members of the group are thought of as acting separately, the verb should be plural. For example, the teams are arguing over who should be the captain. The teams is acting separately, and it corresponds to a plural verb which is are. Next rule. Rule number 18. Company names may be either singular or plural according to their meaning. For example, Mudra and Corporation have retained the goodwill of their customers. Mudra and Corporation is a company name because of the word and it corresponds to a plural verb, have. Next rule. Rule for nouns expressing time, money, and or quantity. For example, 3 months is too long a time to wait. 3 months is a time. It is time. So it is time referring to a month. So it corresponds to a singular verb which is. Next rule. Rule number 20 and our last rule of the day. Expressions such as one half of, two-thirds of, a part of, majority of, and etc. For example, a part of the office is closed. Two-thirds of the mailing list has been typed. The majority of 3,500 indicates his popularity in the constituency. A part of, two-thirds of, and a majority of is always takes the the singular verb form of what is the verb being used. Is, has, and indicates, even though in a present form. So a part of, two-thirds of, and a majority of. Always use singular verb in this one. That's all for today, and thank you everyone. Good day.